everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews. This is really fun. We are back. David and I are back recording. It's been a while, and we used to do the previews and recaps, but because it's the world that we are living in, we are combining it together and just talking about movies is going to be fun. And David, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It has been a while. I don't think we've talked since August.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, I was so immersed in Christmas movies that it really did take over my life for pretty much from August on, honestly. Because starting in September, I was working on getting the preview shows done, and those were in October, and then the movie started in October, and so yeah, it really did take over my life for for the whole quarter. But I'm glad that it did. It gave me something else to think about besides COVID and and everything. But yeah, I've missed talking with you. It's always fun.
Yeah, I've missed talking with you too. I've been keeping myself busy too. I've started a film club on Twitter, so I hang out with those people and talk about movies all the time. We have tournaments, we do all sorts of games. So that's been
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
distracting me.
That sounds really fun. We'll have to put the information in the description. If people want to check it out.
For sure.
Yeah, what's it called?
Oh, it's just called SFC.
SFC.
Yes.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. Well, so we are going to talk about movies that we liked. That I tried to pick ones that I haven't talked about extensively uh, on the channel already, on the podcast already. And so we're going to talk about some movies that either I liked, didn't like, or I just thought would be interesting to talk about. And then we're going to talk about some of the ones coming up that we're looking forward to.
Sounds good.
So yes, so this will be great. Well, let's dive in. Let's talk about our first choices. And I actually my first choice is the movie Spontaneous, and this was in my top 10 of the year. And it's a really weird movie because, well, it's a weird movie on lots of levels. But one aspect that's weird is that everybody who sees it likes it. It's 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, but for some reason, it feels like nobody's talking about it. And I don't know, it's just a kind of a strange little phenomenon going on with this movie. And I think the reason why I liked it, it was just so original, so creative. I'd never seen a movie like it, quite like it, and that was very refreshing.
Yeah, I saw this one too, and honestly, it's in my top 10 as well for the year. I thought it was really creative. I really like Charlie Plummer. I think that he has a great future ahead of him. So yeah, it's funny, but it's also like very heartbreaking, and I don't know. I think everybody should check it out if they haven't seen it already.
Yeah, I agree with you about Charlie Plummer. He actually had two movies in my top 10 because I really loved Words on Bathroom Walls as well.
I haven't checked that
And
one out yet, but I need to see it.
yeah, it had kind of personal significance to me because I ended up, it's all about a kid with schizophrenia.
Hmm.
And I ended up interviewing a young man with schizophrenia named Zach on my podcast, and then the director heard the interview. He really liked it, and then I interviewed him, Tor Frudenthal, and it was just a really positive experience to have, and so that was really cool to be able to talk about mental illness and schizophrenia and just it was a really cool experience. And anyway, so that's part of the reason why it was really impactful to me. But I really did like the movie a lot, and this one is better than that movie. But still, he's just had a great year, Charlie Plummer, and I think that he could be the next Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's exactly who he reminds me of. And I think I've mentioned it before when we discussed Lean
Mhm.
on Pete.
Yeah, I love
So,
Lean on
yeah.
Pete.
Oh, yeah, that's very good.
And I think Catherine Langford is really good too. I think they're both making very interesting choices, and they're both really interesting.
For sure. I agree. Yeah. Once again, everybody should check this one out. So.
Hmm. Yeah. So it and it's just and it's a weird movie. Be ready. I mean, it's this people are exploding all over the place. But I don't know. I just liked it because of that, I guess.
Yeah. It's still not like there's a lot of blood, but besides that, it's not like gory, you know?
No. I mean, how else are you gonna do people exploding if you don't have blood? I mean,
Right.
come on.
It's not like you
Of
have
course.
dismembered bodies or anything. So
No.
I think most people can handle it.
Well, and it doesn't forget to have a sense of humor about itself, but then it's not like light or flippant, I wouldn't say.
Right.
So, well, very good. So, what is your first pick that you want to talk about?
Okay. Speaking of light and flippant, not really. Promising Young Woman is a movie that I saw on Christmas Day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I went to the movie theater, so I was safe. I wore my mask the whole time, and the seats were very spread out in the theater. But this was a very interesting experience for me. It wasn't quite what I expected it to be. There were some good twists and turns, and that's a
Mhm.
positive.
Yeah.
Um, you watched this one, right?
Yes. Yeah, I actually enjoyed it as well. It didn't make my top list, but I still really enjoyed it, and I thought that it it did a lot of the things that Black Christmas last year, 2019, tried to do, but I think it did it so much better. It commented on consent and it commented on a lot of those same issues, but it did it with so much more wit. And I mean, people say, "Oh, well, it's a movie that hates men." I'm like, no, not really. I mean, because she hates everybody. She she hates the women in the movie too. I mean, she's not exactly a character to be emulated. It's not like they're saying this is the way to live your life. It's a revenge movie. And as opposed to Black Christmas, where they were definitely saying this is the way that you should behave, and this is the way that you should be a woman, and this is the way women should behave, and literally anybody who thinks differently is killed, and so this to me was way, I mean, of course, way better, but actually good.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny you made that comparison because I've made that same comparison when talking about Black Christmas recently with somebody. I was saying this can be done well, and Promising Young Woman is the example.
Yeah.
You can have like this movie that is kind of like, I don't want to say anti man, but just anti things that a lot of men do. Maybe not everybody. You don't want to make generalizations here. But they don't paint every male character as just a terrible person.
Yeah, I said in my review, I said promising young woman or a commentary on boys will be boys culture.
Hmm.
That's what I feel like it's commenting on, the idea of like, oh, they'll we're going to excuse this behavior for some reason. Not it's not talking about men as a whole. It's talking about that kind of culture of like frat boy kind of, oh, boys will be boys kind of culture.
Yeah. And while I recommend spontaneous for pretty much anybody, I don't think I would recommend this for everybody. There's definitely some pretty dark themes in here, and some stuff is just very hard to watch,
Hmm.
especially if you're not used to kind of brutal moments in a film, especially something near the last act. Um,
Yeah, I feel like the ending is somewhat polarizing. We won't have to give it away, but some people don't like the ending. Some people like the ending. What are your thoughts on the ending?
Yeah, I liked the ending because it was not predictable. That's not the route I expected the film to go down. and I thought they pulled it off well. Um, it's a little bit, I don't know how to say this without giving things away. It's a little bit, everything falls into place too perfectly, but I can excuse that. It worked for me.
I liked the ending because I felt like I needed her to get her revenge, and that was how she got it. And so I thought it was satisfying for this kind of story. But I know I can see other people's points
Right.
when it comes to the movie.
Yeah.
It was definitely a very like bold movie, and I think Carey Mulligan deserves the Oscar talk. She's really good in it, and I think it's a very strong debut for Emerald Fennell. I think she did a really good job. So
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see what she does next.
I agree. And it's great to see, like, I think 2020, maybe not the best year for movies, but I think it was a very strong year for women directing
Hmm.
movies.
That's true.
And this is one of the best for me.
You had Autumn DeWild doing Emma,
Hmm. That was a good one too.
one of my favorites, and then I also had in my top 10, uh, Dick Johnson is Dead, by Kirsten Johnson. That was a documentary that I loved. So at a, I guess I had um, two female directors in my top 10. So yeah, that's a good point. So all right. Well, next I wanted to talk about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So this movie is based on a August Wilson play, and it definitely feels like it. It feels like a play, and I think though the performances are really good, and you definitely get a real sense of place. And overall, I enjoyed the film. I thought the ending wasn't my favorite. It was kind of weird to me, but but I still overall definitely would recommend it. What did you think about this one?
Yeah, I would recommend this as well. So I went into this kind of hesitant because I really wasn't big on Fences, and that was also an August Wilson play. And I'd heard that this was pretty similar. I can kind of see how it's similar, and both of them, like, you kind of feel like you're watching a play. But as far as tone goes and I don't know, the delivery, it's pretty different for me, and I like this much better than Fences. I thought some of the performances were among the best of the year. Like, I'll be surprised if we don't see Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman win Oscars this year. I mean, nothing's for sure, but I thought both of them were really great in this film.
Yeah.
And Chadwick Boseman, like, this was the best I've ever seen him. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I thought it was very good, and I actually didn't mind the ending. It definitely takes a tonal shift, as a lot of these movies do that we're discussing. But
Hmm.
it worked for me, and I thought it was pretty interesting, especially knowing this is a true story.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was like just seemed very random to me that like what he did, and like what that kind of came out of nowhere. That why did he do that? What was I don't know. It was strange to me, but I it wasn't enough to ruin the movie or anything. I still overall enjoyed it, and I mean I liked it, and I think that it's very well made. And like I said, you get a definite sense of place and time, and yeah, Viola Davis, it's a really great performance in particular. I think that you feel like you know this woman, and that
Mhm.
she's very good. And it seems like somebody that I don't know if I've ever seen someone like her quite like her the in on the screen, at least for a long time. It's not one of those performances you're gonna be like, oh, that's just like you know, Clark Gable or Jimmy Stewart. Like this is so unique. You know.
Right, I agree. Yeah, this was definitely a transformation for Viola Davis. I
Yeah,
haven't,
that's a good word for it.
yeah, I haven't seen her quite like this. But it's a very familiar character to me as far as like people I've known in my real life. Like I feel like I know Ma Rainey's that like some of my
Hmm.
friends had parents that were Ma Rainey's.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, it was kind of cool seeing her take on that kind of role.
yeah. All right. Well, what is your next one you want film you want to talk about?
Okay, so the next one I wanted to discuss is a movie called Greenland. It did not get a theatrical release this year or this past year, um, but you can definitely rent it, and I would highly recommend it. This is a disaster film about these meteors hitting the Earth, and it's going to be catastrophic to the Earth and kill everybody. And we had Gerard Butler trying to save his family. I was actually very impressed with this. Gerard Butler lately has been an actor that I try to avoid if I can. Um, I've just been pretty disappointed with a lot of his work, but this is exactly what I look for in a disaster film. Some great effects, and it's actually like it feels small. It's not like a Roland Emmerich, like just all of these huge set pieces, like things being destroyed left and right. No, it's more of a family film. It's focusing on Gerard Butler and his quest to keep his family safe, and it just really worked for me. It kept me on my toes the whole time. So if you like disaster films, but if you're like me and you know, like it's rare for there to be a really strong disaster film, I think this is the closest we've gotten in quite a while.
Yeah, I had skipped this because I was just like, I can't deal with this right now. I feel like we're living in an end of the world like situation, and it just sounded stressful to me, and I don't know, but I've heard from so many people that it's actually really good, so I need to watch it. I
Yeah,
need to
I
give it a
definitely
shot.
think you should watch it. And honestly, like I think most people can handle this. It's not like that awful Songbird movie that's
Mhm,
really trying to maximize off of people's current fears of COVID. And I did watch that movie. It's pretty terrible.
mhm.
It's one of my
Oh,
bottom
yeah,
three.
that one sounded just awful, so I didn't watch that
Oh, don't. But
either.
do watch
Eh,
this. Do watch this,
okay.
and I'll be curious what you think of it, Rachel.
Yeah, I definitely will. And, yeah, it sounds interesting because he can act, like, when he actually
Mhm.
tries, but he's just been phoning it in on so many movies like Gods of Egypt and stuff like that, that, it's refreshing to hear that he got a good one.
Yeah, and this is kind of a different character for him. Like usually he's this macho, like he's the guy that has it all together. In this, he's very human. He has flaws. He's scared. He's not like super strong. He's kind of timid in a lot of points of the film too. But he's really doing his best, and I yeah, I thought he was very good in it.
Yeah, very cool. All right. Well, the next one I wanted to talk about is available on HBO Max. It's The Bee Gees, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? This is a documentary about the Bee Gees, obviously, but it really goes over quite a bit of time period between the 1960s and then into the 70s, and not only the story of this band, but also the story of those time periods as well, and it does a really good job of capturing the disco craze and what kind of got to their falsetto sound and how that developed, and that was really interesting to me. And it's also interesting because it's about a family, that they were all brothers, and that dynamic was very interesting to me. And I had no idea that they were such prolific songwriters, that they wrote a lot of hits for even people like Dolly Parton and Barbara Streisand, and I don't know, that was interesting to me, and I just really enjoyed it. It's on HBO Max if people have that, and I think that even if you're not the biggest Bee Gees fan, I think that you'll find it interesting. And it was also interesting just as a piece about how quickly you can go from kind of a hero to a zero in the eyes of pop culture. It was, I mean, they're having this massive success of Saturday Night Fever, and just like that, all of a sudden they aren't cool, and disco is out, and it is pretty interesting. Literally, in the course of like 6 months, they went from one of the biggest albums of all time to kind of a joke. And so I don't know. That's interesting to me, how that can work. And so I really liked it. It was very good.
Yeah, this is one that I've heard good things about. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but you're selling me on it. I'm a little more interested than I was before. So,
Yes. All right. Yeah. No, I really liked it. I had it. I have it right now at 30 on my list of the year. But I really my top 35 are all pretty high for me. So I think you should definitely check it out if you have HBO Max. So what do you have next to talk about?
so I wanted to talk about some of the animation from 2020 because I
Yeah.
personally thought it was a very good year for animation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the first one I wanted to discuss is a movie called Wolfwalkers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is by the same studio that did Secret of the Kells and Song of the Sea. And I know we both have a lot of love for Song of the Sea. So I was excited for this, and I know you recommended it as well. So yeah, I went and watched this in the movie theaters, and yeah, it
Oh,
was
so
even better
lucky.
than I expected. Yeah, I was very
I
lucky.
I thought I was going to go see it because I thought, oh, for sure, there's so little out. It'll be in the theaters for a couple weeks, and it was only, at least here, it was only in my theater for one weekend. I was so mad at myself for not seeing it, and so I haven't got to see it on the theater in the theater. But I just absolutely love this movie. It was my favorite of 2020, my number one. Yeah. I loved the relationship between the two girls, and I loved the whole dynamic between them and her father. He's trying to protect her, but he in a way kind of becomes the villain of the movie, but he has the best of intentions, and so that was good. And the animation is so beautiful, and the music was great, and yeah, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, this is actually, you'll be happy to hear, this is in my top five of the year.
Yes.
So I haven't really settled on a solid list for my year end rankings, but
Uh
I
huh.
think it'll stay in my top five. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Compared to Song of the Sea, which I never saw Secret of the Kells.
Uh huh.
But this has more of a narrative. I feel like this is better for a wide audience, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so if if you did see Song of the Sea and it didn't work for you for some reason, that really sucks. First of all, but second of all, I think you should still give this a chance.
Yeah, get off my channel. What are you doing?
Right. Unless it's just the animation of Song of the Sea that you didn't like, then I I'll try not to judge you. But yeah, this probably still won't be your thing. But if it's the plot that was a little confusing, I think you can handle this. It's definitely more mainstream feeling, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like it's also very art house and
Mhm.
beautiful and great story. Um, yeah, I think it'll definitely evoke some emotions from you.
Yeah. I I have been debating about which I think is stronger, and I mean, I don't know why we have to rank them,
Hmm.
but that's human nature. But I have such a personal connection to Song of the Sea because I saw it just after my cousin had died, and her little boy speaking at her funeral, and then to watch Ben in Song of the Sea dealing with his mother's death was very emotional for me. And so it has that kind of emotion that this, I don't know if this had quite that same emotion, but it still was emotional. And I think if I was just comparing brass tacks, I would say that this one is probably a stronger film, but I still love both of them so much. And I mean, that's a huge compliment. I think Tom Moore is just an incredible animator and an incredible director. And I wish that I I know that it's not going to win, but I wish that it would win. I think it's the best animated film of the year, and I think that he's had such strong films in a row.
Right.
I wish that he would win, but I know he won't because Soul. And but what are you gonna do? I guess.
Very true. Yeah, we'll get to Soul soon, though.
Yes. All right. Well, I thought it would be fun to talk about the Prom. So the Prom came out on Netflix, and this was based on the Broadway play. And I love me a musical. I really do. I'm an easy sell when it comes to musicals, and I think I wish that this musical wasn't really about the celebrities. That I wish that it was just about the girl, and I think that it's stronger there. But I don't know. I just thought it was fun. I thought the points where it tries to get really emotional, particularly with James Corden's character, didn't really work that well. But I I don't know. I still overall enjoyed it. I gave it fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. What about you? What did you think?
Yeah, I would say overall I enjoyed this film. I think the first 15 minutes are the best part of the film.
Uh huh.
It's just a lot of fun. Those first few numbers that happen,
Hmm. Yeah.
and it got me really excited for the film. And it kind of plateaued and maybe slightly went down, and like it never got bad. It just kind of felt predictable at times.
Uh huh.
But I still probably would have this in my top 30. It's fun.
Uh
It's
huh.
nothing groundbreaking for me. But yeah, I still enjoyed it. I know I'm sounding critical, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Well, so what do you think about the controversy of James Corden playing this gay character? Do you think that was fair criticism or no?
I think it's fair for people to bring that up. I personally don't have a problem with it. I think if you're gonna put straight actors in a box and say that they can't play gay characters, you have to expect the same thing to go the other way. Like gay gay actors, I think they should be able to play straight roles.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
don't want to limit them. So I don't think it's fair to limit straight actors as well. I know a lot of the criticism came with how he played the character and how it kind of seemed like a stereotype. So I think that's fair. It
Mhm.
just didn't really bother me.
I also didn't really like the whole plot which they added, which wasn't part of I guess, the Broadway musical. Him and his mother, because I don't know. I mean, I just think that that's a very personal thing. Is the relationships between someone like that. It's a very personal thing, and it could have gone very south. And the idea of just sort of thrusting that on somebody against their will is not good.
Hmm.
So, but anyway, I think the heart was. You watch this movie. To me, it's just so obvious. The heart was definitely in the right place. They were trying to make something very sweet, and I mean, I think seeing Meryl Streep sing and really vamp it up was is always going to be fun. And Nicole Kidman was sweet, and
Yeah,
um,
I
like
really
I said,
like
I'm an
Meryl
easy
Streep
sell
in
when it
this.
comes to musicals.
Yeah, Meryl
And I
Streep
thought
was
that,
probably my favorite part of it.
yeah, she was really fun. I think that Keegan Michael Key is in danger of overexposure. I think he has been. I just feel like he has been in so many movies, and he kind of does a lot of the same type of roles, and I just worry that he, I don't know, people are going to kind of get overkill
Yeah,
on him.
it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's again not one of my favorites of the year or anything like that, but I felt like people maybe a little hard on it just because uh, I don't know. People are tough on musicals. I think sometimes.
True.
But all right. What do you want to talk about next?
So next, I wanted to talk about Soul, which we
Yes.
kind of touched on. I know it probably is the front runner to win Best Animated Film at the Oscars. I did think it was very good. Is it my favorite Pixar movie? No. It might not even be in the top half, to be honest. But
Same with me actually. I have it at 20 on my list, so it's not like I hate it. I liked it. I just I just don't think it's a masterpiece. That's my only pushback is I I feel like I think it's really bold, really ambitious. I think it's admirable that they made it, and I like it. I think it's interesting, but I don't think it completely works. I mean, the second act with the cat is where it kind of loses me quite a bit. I I and I almost think it would be better as a short that because the idea is really interesting. The idea of sort of getting lost in in your passion and him kind of realizing that he that jazz is great, but think of all that he kind of lost along the way of pursuing that passion. I think that's a really interesting message, but I don't know. I think it gets a little muddled along the way. I still really enjoy it. We're talking about degrees of greatness here. And everybody, I just feel like everyone has been like, this is a masterpiece. This is so great. And I'm like,
yeah, I personally liked Onward better.
hmm
Um,
they were pretty close to me. They were
okay.
pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with this one, I think part of my problem might have been that I watched it on Christmas Day.
Uh huh.
First, I went to the movie theater and watched Promising Young Woman. Then I hopped to a different movie theater and watched News of the World. Um, and then I came home and I watched Soul. So I was a bit tired,
Yeah.
and I felt sleepy while I was watching it. And this is like I would say this is more geared towards adults than most Pixar movies.
Yep.
And it's not just like super palatable like a lot of Pixar movies are. So you actually have to pay attention. So I do need to give this a rewatch. With that said, though, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was
Yeah.
creative. I thought visually there were some really strong moments. Um, it's hovering like right around my top 10, maybe just outside. So I do like it a lot. I think it might have been a little bit overhyped for me because I was
Yeah.
hearing people earlier that morning talk about how amazing it was. So it's very good, but not the best thing I've ever seen.
The animation is absolutely gorgeous. And I agree with you about it being more for adults. I mean, I think that the people that are expecting it to be Inside Out are going to be disappointed because it's not like there's nothing inappropriate for children. Like it's not adult in that context, but I just think that kids are going to be kind of bored by it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what kid is that invested in the existential crisis of like a 40-year-old man.
Right.
I don't think they'll be that interested in it. But the animation is absolutely beautiful, and like I said, I think that its message is very interesting. Something that you don't expect to see coming. Most stories are about sort of celebrating your passion, but in this case, it's actually more complicated than that, which I appreciate and find interesting. And it's interesting to me because Pete Docter is a very Christian man. He's a very he's a believer, and his sort of seeing his take on the afterlife is kind of interesting to me. That it's not what I would have expected coming from him. And so I don't know. I really do appreciate the movie. I like it. I just like Wolfwalkers so much more.
Me too.
And that's the frustration for me, and that I know that it's not gonna win, and I'm just like, ah. But anyway, it's still a good film.
Yeah.
And that's what I just have to remind myself, that the Oscars are not everything. But I wish that Wolfwalkers was getting the same love that Soul is. But it's hard to when it's on Apple Plus, which isn't as popular as Disney
Right.
Plus.
Yeah. It's definitely not set up as well as Soul was,
Yeah,
even without a theatrical release, which is kind of crazy to think about.
yeah, and I don't know why they pulled it so soon. It was
Mhm.
so weird to me. Like I thought for sure it would be out for a couple weeks, but nope, just 1 week. Oh, that was so disappointing. Oh well, the next one that I want to talk about is also very existential. It's a movie called Wander Darkly, and this has Sienna Miller, who I think is very underrated as an actress. I think she is very good. She was in a movie in 2019 called American Woman, which I really liked, and then she's in this. And this is Diego Luna is plays her husband, and there's an accident, and the movie kind of goes back and forth between their relationship and uh, the the highs and lows of their relationship, and you kind of don't know what's actually happening and what is real and what's not real and what's a flashback. And I think wasn't perfect, but I think overall it's definitely worth checking out.
Mhm. Yeah. So
See it?
I did see this. This is actually of the movies we've discussed. It's my least favorite.
Okay.
Um, I can see why people would like it. It just didn't quite work for me. This felt like I was almost certain that this was a an adaptation from a book. So I looked
Mhm.
it up after, like right after I watched, and it was not. But it feels very much like it should have been a book. I think it would have worked better that way. Um,
Yeah.
it just, I don't know. There's too many layers that for it to to be portrayed well in this visual format for me. But I can see why other people like it. The performances were good. It has a pretty interesting twist to it. So
Hmm.
I'm not saying don't watch it by any means, but
Yeah, I
it's
mean, I have it at 50, so it's not like a favorite of the year or anything, but I just overall thought it was interesting. It was trying some different things, and I thought the performances were pretty good, and uh, it does have kind of a twist at the end, and uh, it's also directed by a woman, Tara Miele, and so I think it's worth a watch.
yeah,
Yeah. So and hadn't really talked about it on the channel yet. I got to listen in on a Zoom panel with the director, so and Sienna Miller. So that was pretty interesting too, to kind of um, hear more about the making of the movie. But yeah, if you have time, I think it's worth a watch. It's not perfect, but yeah. So all right, what's the last one that you want to talk about?
So I'm going to fill out the trifecta of animation here, and I wanted to talk about the Croods, A New Age.
Uh huh.
Um, so I really like the first movie for the Croods.
Uh
I
huh.
thought it was a lot of fun, very beautiful. Um, just it was one of my favorites the year it came out,
Uh huh.
2013, I believe. Um, so I've been looking forward to this. I actually went into this movie blind. I did not watch a single trailer, which usually a movie of this caliber I would not be able to do. But since I hadn't been going to
Right.
movie theaters, I didn't have to worry about seeing trailers. But yeah, I went into this. I brought my roommates. I made them watch the first one with me first. and they both thought this was better than the first one. They're pretty close for me, to be honest. I thought this really held up well. It was definitely beautiful to watch. I really like the new element of the new characters that they bring in. Um, it's very silly. It gets very silly, but
Uh-huh.
that's what I expected from it. So, um, if you've seen the first Croods and you like that, there's no reason you wouldn't like this, I believe.
Yeah. No, I agree. I enjoyed it as well. I appreciate some of the choices they made, like the fact they didn't make the two young ladies cat fighting over
Mhm.
this male character. That was refreshing. When I first saw that, I was like, "Oh no."
Right.
But they were just friends, and so that was great. They had a lot of contemporary current messaging without it seeming obnoxious, like the fact that they're taking down the wall and talking about immigrant new people coming in and how can we
Yeah.
get along, and that some of those messages, I think you could have a great conversation with your kids about themes of this movie without it being annoying.
Right. I agree. Yeah, and this is in my personal top 10. I think probably about half, if not over half, of my top 10 is animation this year.
All right.
So, yeah, this is not for me as strong as Wolfwalkers, but personally, I like this better than Soul.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I can see it. It was a little shouty for me. I felt like the characters were always kind of shouting all the time. So that wasn't my favorite, but I got to see it on the IMAX on Thanksgiving morning.
Nice. I saw it on the IMAX
Yeah.
Thanksgiving as well.
Oh, you did? Uh, and I had actually Shaun the Sheep Farmageddon in my top 15. I'm probably the only person who did, but that was my little animated film that I liked more than other people seem to be.
Nice.
I thought it was so cute, and I don't know, I just enjoyed it. So, but yeah, then I have Wolfwalkers in my top 15, and my other little movie that I liked way more than everybody else seemingly was Timmy Failure. Mistakes were made. I don't know if you ever saw that on Disney Plus,
I
but I just thought it was
didn't. I remember you talking about it though.
I thought it was the cutest movie. I loved it. So, yeah, I like it. I love when people's top lists are unique and aren't just the Oscar favorites, you know? Like
Right.
you should be a little bit creative. So that's very good. All right. One thing I wanted to talk about before we talk about upcoming films is I think that we have a real risk of these films being just too overhyped. That I don't know. I just saw it with because there's the thing that sometimes happens with movies where it's not bad, it's just disappointing because we expected it to be better, right? And so then it feels like a bad movie, but really it's not actually a bad movie. We were just expecting it to be great and it's good. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that was a lot of what happened with Wonder Woman 84. Like that movie has problems, don't get me wrong. But people like myself loved the original so much that and to have it hyped up kind of over and over again over the course of this year and then to finally get to see it, it feels like at least to me, it feels like a bad movie because it's disappointing, but it actually, in my opinion, wasn't a bad movie. It just was not as good as we were hoping it would be. Anyway, and that I kind of worry that with these movies, because some of these movies have had two, three, four hype cycles, right? And then we finally get to see them. It's gonna feel. I mean, what movie can live up to that kind of thing? What movie can live up to three or four marketing cycles? I don't know. I mean, I worry that we're just set up for a whole year of really disappointing films. I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of it, but you make great points. Personally, with Wonder Woman, I didn't think it was that bad. I kind of enjoyed it more than the first one. I know that's not a popular opinion,
Hmm.
um, but I think also part of it, and I heard somebody talk about this on a podcast recently. I think people are just kind of angry right now, and they're just easily set off. So, like,
Yeah.
even with so many movies lately have been getting backlash for whatever reasons. Even some of the ones we've talked about, I've heard backlash from people talking about Soul. I've heard it from the Prom. So people are just angry. So I think people just need to relax a bit when they're going into movies and
Yeah.
not expecting everything to be perfect, not expecting them to fit into your like box of what is the best way to film make. Not everybody's going to do it perfectly. You may have great points, but I mean, we need to show grace for these filmmakers. Like the industry is suffering bad.
Yeah.
Um, so many people are out of work. Not just people in Hollywood. Obviously, they're probably doing better than most people in the film industry. But like, look at all these people who work at movie theaters. Like, they're all going under.
Right. Yeah.
Let's just try to relax and just have fun with these movies. I think.
Because I think that the No Time to Die or whatever the James Bond movie, I think that's the next one that's gonna. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's now been again gone through 3, 4
Mm-hmm.
marketing cycles, and I mean the last one was kind of disappointing. Inspector, and what I don't know. I feel like I'm not going to be surprised at all if people are like, "Oh, this is disappointing." I'm like, "Does that mean that it's bad?" I don't think so, but it might be bad. Who knows? But I don't know. I just think we have to be really careful this year because as something as a critic, I'm being very cognizant of and just trying to really check my expectations at the door when I start a movie.
Yeah, definitely a wise choice. I would say.
Yeah. All right. Well, some of the movies that we're going to talk about upcoming, I've actually seen already at festivals and things like that. But uh, we have 9 Days that's going to be released, I think, this spring. And this was a movie I saw at Sundance last year. And it's going to be really interesting. It's kind of similar to Soul in many ways. It's about a afterlife kind of stopping ground where you get a chance to kind of look over your life and whether you can move on to the next step, and it's a very interesting, kind of bold movie. I didn't necessarily sort of move me the way that it has for some people, but I still think it's definitely worth seeing and a very interesting, well acted. Winston Duke is the lead in it, and it has a lot to say. And I think it's a very interesting film.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at this trailer. A couple of the movies that we're going to discuss, I didn't have a chance to watch the trailer, so you'll have to forgive me. But I do like this cast. I really like Bill Skarsgård. I don't know, I don't know why. He's just a quirky, weird favorite of mine. So
Yeah.
um, I'll check this out for sure.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like some people are like loving it, giving it 5 stars, 4.5 stars. I am not on that camp. I gave it 3.5, but that's a pretty good score. I enjoyed it. So what do you have of your upcoming
Yeah,
film?
so one of the movies I wanted to talk about, obviously, is Nomad Land. That's definitely a movie that people have been talking about a lot. It's a front runner for Best Picture at the Oscars this year. Technically, it's going to be a 2021 movie. It didn't get a limited release in December like it initially was supposed to. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, that will be coming out in February. I love Frances McDormand. Um, Chloe Zhao, she did The Rider, which I thought was a very good film. So I'm excited to see this follow up. I think the trailer looks, I don't know, it doesn't give away too much yet. So actually,
yeah,
they had a second trailer. I forgot about the second trailer. That did look more interesting. Um, but either way,
yeah.
I expect it to be very good.
So I saw this when I rented it during when it was at TIFF, And it's a beautiful movie. I think it has real empathy for its characters, and it has a lot of raw performances, people not trained actors, which I appreciated. I There were a couple parts that I wish had been elaborated a little bit more on, like the fact that uh, I I don't know, I kind of wondered about her safety as a character sometimes, and that was never really dealt with or talked about. Um, that I would have liked to have explored. She's a single woman in some living this life, and but she's great, Frances McDormand, in it, and so she's worthy of the praise there. And David Stratham is good, and like I said, there's lots of non-professional actors in the movie, which give it a real grounded feel, and it's beautiful. The cinematography is beautiful, so it's definitely worth watching. I'm not on the 4.5, 5 star train on it, but I still enjoyed it. So
It's good to
uh,
hear.
yeah. Okay, then I am also looking forward to Raya and the Last Dragon. This comes to theaters and Disney Plus premiere in March, and I figure if they are making it a premiere, they must have a pretty good confidence in it. I think that people will purchase it, and I feel like I wish it was a musical because I love Disney musicals, but and I didn't like love the trailer, but I liked the trailer. And I'm always going to be excited about Disney animation, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I we actually feel the same way about this trailer. It didn't blow me away,
Mhm.
but I think it still looks intriguing. It kind of gave me Mulan vibes. I don't know if you got that too.
Yeah, I just hope that it's not Disney's How to Train Your Dragon. I hope that they have that it has enough kind of unique uh, facets to it.
Yeah, and you can tell they're definitely holding back some of the major elements of the film
Yeah.
in the marketing. Like we're not seeing much dragon, which is interesting considering the title. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think this will probably be a fun one. I'm optimistic.
Yeah. So, what are you looking forward to next?
Yeah, so another one I want to see is Minari. Another one getting Oscar buzz here. It's had its share of controversy with not being eligible for Best Drama in the Golden Globes. It's in the foreign language film category, but yeah, I think this looks very good. It looks like it has a lot of heart. Um, so I've definitely been wanting to watch this one for a while since I first saw the trailer. So I'm anxiously waiting for February to come
Hmm.
because it will be at my art house theater, I believe. So
Yeah. It's a great film. I've had the chance to see it. It did make my top 25, and it's a little bit of a slow burn, so some people will think it's boring. But I really enjoyed it. The little kid is the cutest thing to ever exist. He is so adorable, and it's quite a devastating yet oddly hopeful portrayal of the American dream. Really, when it comes down to it, is this man trying to become a farmer in I forget, Oklahoma or Arkansas, and uh, him and his family, and it's very. I really enjoyed it. It's very good. So I think you'll like it.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay, then we have Earwig and the Witch, and this is interesting to me on a lot of levels. It's actually from Studio Ghibli, which they haven't made a movie in since when Marnie was here, which was a while ago. And it's directed by Goro Miyazaki, who is the son of Hayao Miyazaki, the great animator. And Goro has made 3 animated films, and one of them, this is his third, I believe. And anyway, he's made 3 animated films, and one of them is called Tales of Earthsea, and it is widely considered as Studio Ghibli's only big flop. and he was very heavily criticized for it. I think the movie has some value. I don't think it's as bad as people say, but it's certainly not perfect. And even his own father said how he didn't like the movie, which has got to suck. And so I'm kind of rooting for him. I feel like a bit of an underdog here. And of course, I'm always going to be excited about Studio Ghibli films. And it's 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 their first CG animated film, and the animation doesn't look the best, but hopefully it'll be good. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I heard about this a couple of weeks ago, and I was intrigued because I read first that this was going to be their first computer animated film. So I looked up the trailer, and yeah, it definitely it might not be for me. I'll still check it out though. But yeah, it could be better animation for sure.
Yeah, I guess they're using the same technology that they did for their TV animated films, and it kind of feels that
Hmm.
way. But if the story's good, then that's all that matters. So we'll see. I hopefully will get to see it pretty soon. I know they're sending out screeners and stuff, but yeah, we'll see. So then I guess let's just do one more each. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah. So what is the last one you want to talk about?
Okay, I'll talk about the last one I want to discuss is my most anticipated movie of 2020, and it's now become my most anticipated movie of 2021, and that is A Quiet Place 2. Um, yeah, this one got pulled from theaters like last minute, right as COVID was becoming pretty big here in the United States. I had my tickets ready. I was going to go watch the very first showing of it, and then my dreams got crushed. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen again this time. I think it has an April release date, but yeah, I cannot wait. I really loved A Quiet Place, and I'm hoping the sequel lives up to it. It has great early word of mouth, very early word of mouth, considering how far it's been pushed off. But yeah, I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, I had the screener scheduled. It was literally on the Monday that and then I think things were closed on like Sunday. And so I mean, I was just barely missed it going to the screening, and I think it's something I'm very much looking forward to. I really enjoyed the first one. I do worry a little bit about what a year's long kind of anticipation is going to do. That's when I'm going to be really checking myself, making sure I'm not overhyped for it, because that's just
Hmm.
not fair to the movie. It's not its fault. It's not fair for me to put a year long expectation onto the film. So I'm really gonna try, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I mean, aside me felt like the first one was kind of this perfect little story, and
Hmm.
we need to know more about these characters. But that's my only, I guess, hesitation.
Right.
But
I agree. Like when I first heard of the sequel, I was hoping it would be following a different storyline.
yeah,
Um, I'm not. I'm not too disappointed that it's following this family because I do love Emily Blunt. I thought all three of them were great in the first film, so I am still excited to see what stories they have to tell here.
yeah, yeah, it'll be good. I'm excited. So, all right. Well, the next one I wanted to talk about, or last one, is to talk about Black Widow. So Black Widow is the Marvel movie that just kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And I guess they aren't doing it on Disney Plus. It's not as they're not doing a premiere release, which I thought they might do same day as theaters, like they're doing with Raya, which is a little bit surprising to me. And they hardly talked about it at all at the Marvel presentation at the Investors Day, so that was sort of surprising to me. Uh, but I'm still excited. I hope it'll be good. I mean, I like the MCU. I like most of the Marvel movies, and I think it looks like it has some pretty good action, and I just want to see the darn thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked about not trying to set our expectations too high. For me, Black Widow does not have to worry about that. My expectations are not high for this. I
Uh-huh.
think each trailer that has come out has just made me less interested in this film. And this is probably a hot take, but I just it's the least interested I've been in a Marvel movie in probably at least 5 years. Um,
Uh-huh.
I I don't know. I'm not. I don't think it'll be great. I hope I'm wrong, and I usually when I have low expectations, I mean that's a good thing. So I'll probably like it better than I expect. But I don't know why this story needs to be told. I guess we'll see. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like if they really had a lot of faith in it, they would be doing this same, the Disney Plus premiere. Uh, that was very surprising to me. And like I
Mhm.
said, they didn't mention it almost at all at the investor meeting. It was weird to
Right.
me.
I kept waiting. We
They
kept
had
my roommate and I kept waiting to hear that. Oh, this is not going to be released in theaters after all.
right. Yeah,
But they didn't say that. They said it
they
would
didn't
still
even talk
be.
about it, like
Yeah.
hardly at all.
Right.
They didn't. You'd think they'd have the director on or something, but no, they didn't. And so that's was weird to me. But I still, hopefully it'll be good, and we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's gonna be interesting because they'll have the competition of these series that are now starting
Hmm.
as well. WandaVision and then Falcon and Winter Soldier, and so that will be interesting to see how that all plays out as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, very good. We did it. We talked about some interesting films that we saw and some things coming up, and I'm definitely looking forward to 2021. It's going to be just a nice year to hopefully kind of get back some of our normalcy. Well, hopefully, as we get vaccines and other
Hmm.
things like that, we'll see how it all goes. But it's going to be better than 2020. Let's hope.
It's hard to be worse, but you
Yeah,
never know.
that's right. But if people want to follow you, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I am the David Healy on Twitter. You can also find me in a Facebook group called Film Freaks. It is facebook.com/Film Freaks Group.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. And also check out the Hallmarkies podcast with lots of good stuff going on over there, lots of interviews, other fun stuff. So check out over there. And thanks so much. And we'll have all the information about the movie club, the other stuff going on in the description. So let us know what you think of these movies we talked about, and what you are excited for coming up. Love to hear your thoughts. And we'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.